Commonwealth nation has appealed to Nigerians to remain calm and shun any act of violence following the postponement of the general election by the Independent National Electoral Commission by 6 weeks. Head of Commonwealth Election Monitors team in Nigeria and former president of Malawi, Dr. Baliki Muluzi, made the appeal at a meeting with the All Progressive Congress presidential candidate, General Muhammadu Buhari, in Abuja.
I just want to appeal to the Nigerian people, I think during this time, to remain calm. And this is where I did congratulate the president here, because he has asked, his supporters to remain calm until the elections are held on 28th of March, because that's very important. You see, Africa is still a poor country. We still have to create employment for our young people. And if we're going to have chaos situation in our countries, I think we are being unfortunate and unfair to the young people who are looking to us, to the leadership, to create employment. And therefore, peace becomes very important.
In his response, General Muhammadu Buhari said the postponement of the election was INEC's last card in order to avoid crisis in the country.
Shift in the date and the constitutional limitations that is the last card for INEC. They cannot shift the date anymore. So it's up to the government to facilitate a free, fair and credible election. If they fail to do that, then maybe they are going to have a civilian or military coup. Because the constitution is very clear, 30 days to the swearing in time of 29th May, there must be an election which will put our government in place.
Meanwhile, General Muhammadu Buhari, in his official reaction to the postponement, called for the calm across the country.
This postponement coming a week to the first election has raised so many questions, many of which shall be asked in the days ahead. However, we must not allow ourselves to be tempted into taking actions that could further endanger the democratic process. Our country is going through a difficult time in the hands of terrorists. Any act of violence can only complicate the security challenges in the country and provide further justification to those who would want to exploit every situation to frustrate the democratic process in the face of certain defeat at the polls.
From Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to take advantage of the postponement to complete all pre-election arrangements, particularly the distribution of the permanent voters' card, in order to ensure free and credible elections in the country. In a statement made available to Ben Television, ECOWAS, while noting the concern and disappointment of Nigerians and other stakeholders occasioned by the postponement, called on all political actors to respect the decision of INEC and accept it in good faith. It could be recalled that INEC on 7th February postponed the general election on the ground given by the National Security Advisor and intelligence chiefs that safety and security of operations cannot be guaranteed in the northeast part of the country.
This advisory was reinforced at the Council of State meeting on Thursday, where the National Security Advisor and all the service chiefs unanimously reiterated that the safety and security of our operations cannot be guaranteed, and that the security services needed at least 6 weeks within which to conclude a major military operation against the insurgency in the northeast, and that during this operation, the military will be concentrating its attention in the theater of operations, such that they may not be able to provide the traditional support they render to the police and other agencies during elections.
This led to the decision of INEC to postpone the election by 6 weeks.
Consequently, The Commission has decided to reschedule the 2015 general elections thus. The national elections, i.e. Presidential and National Assembly, are now to hold on March 28, 2015, while the state elections, governorship and state assembly, are to hold on April 11, 2015. It should be noted that this rescheduling falls within the constitutional framework for the conduct of the elections, notably Section 76, subsection 2, Section 116, subsection 2, Section 132, subsection 2, and Section 178, subsection 2. See also Section 25 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended.
Meanwhile, many groups and political parties have reacted to the decision, including the ruling party, PDP, which said through its postman on Presidential Campaign Council, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, that INEC's decision to postpone the election is a welcome development. INEC have also extended the deadline of the collection of the permanent voters card to March 8. LM Chukwemeka report for Ben TV.
The Nigerian media, especially the social media, have been called upon to imbibe the culture of professionalism in doing their job, as the media is supposed to be nation builders in all ramifications. This call was made by former Minister of Information Labaran Maku, who was briefing newsmen in Abuja on what he termed a calculated attempt to tarnish his image by some opposition, using some section of the media who have recently resorted to attributing fictitious statements to him, insinuating that he is working against President Goodluck Jonathan.
This slander, which has been going on in the last 2 weeks, attempts to quote the president's believers as his opponents in order to make the fiction they are publishing about the president to be believed. About 2 weeks ago, I saw on the social media an image purportedly quoting me to have accused President Jonathan of being the sponsor of Boko Haram. This image, which appeared on the photo page, a social media platform that has been used by mischief makers to say all sorts of things against people, was quickly denied by my campaign organization. However, a few days later, we saw another fiction on some social media platforms, again quoting me to have said that I regretted ever working for President Jonathan, and that the president was responsible for the violence, for the terrorist violence in the country. This time, the purpose of the story is to ensure that they find a way of getting Nigerians to believe the slander, the attacks on the president. The logic is simple. If Labaran Maku could say this, who will not believe it?
On the issue of the president openly supporting a PDP candidate in Nasarawa State as against Labaran, who is a candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, the former minister said he is mature enough to handle the situation, as it is a known fact that the president is not expected to campaign against PDP in any state.
Support me for me to support him. Like I said, the presidency of Nigeria is greater than my own ambition and the politics of my state. So I'm mature enough to know that the president is not expected to support another candidate against his own party. And that is why when I felt I was unfairly skimmed out of the local branch of my party, I felt I must extend the frontiers of choice. As I said, this is the political Premier League season in Nigeria. And so every party is looking for a Ronaldo and a Messi. But the PDP in Nasarawa State abandoned a Ronaldo, and APGA came and bought him. and I'm now set to score the decisive goal on April 11.
He therefore used the medium to call on journalists to always balance their stories with proper investigation, and also advising political gladiators to play politics of peace and not that of pull him down syndrome, noting that there will still be a Nigeria after the general elections. From Abuja, I am Festus Ejiroge Nefifen for Ben Television News.
As a follow-up to the postponement of the general election, political parties in the country have continued to canvass for more support from the electorate. In Abuja, the Nigerian Federal Capital Territory, the women's wings of All Progressive Congress took to the street in a roadshow with a message centered on violence-free poll.
We are talking to women, we are talking to Nigerian women, we are talking to the women of All Progressive Congress to be calm, to be patient, and to be the women they are. Actually, the theme of this is the restoration of our family value system. We are talking and appealing to Nigerians in general to shun violence, to give peace a chance, and peace we shall have. Yes, we are aware the election, is postponed, to a further date, but that there is no cause for alarm. They need to exercise patience, they need to be themselves, they need to be the women they are, the mothers of this nation, to preach peace. So this is a peace mission, this is a rally, an awareness campaign to say united we stand.
Well, we have to do a continuation of getting the women and, the populace to understand that the election is not now holding, but we have to keep pressing on, and we have to stay on course so that nobody gets demoralized because of what the INEC or government or whatever have done. We don't want them to get depressed.
I've said before now that if they like, let them postpone it to 200 years. Jega has tried his best. As far as I'm concerned, Jonathan bought the security men. And they now said they don't have security, meaning Jonathan is not competent to be the head of security in this Nigeria. So if they want to let them postpone it to 200 years, we want change. And APC is guaranteeing Nigeria that change.
In a related development, Buhari Support Organization and its medical team were in Kaita, in Kwali Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory, as part of the campaign strategy. The leader of the medical team, Dr. Maina Elijah, underscored the importance of their visit to the village.
We've come to this village called Kwaita under the auspices of the Buhari Support Organization to help people of this village who have, if you've watched some of our television stations like channels, have shown how people here particularly have been having problems with river blindness, with schistosomiasis, which is bilharzia, and other forms of ailments. And because of the changes that General Buhari wants to bring when he comes into power, he has encouraged this organization, his support organization, to come and provide medical aid free to the people of this community. It's just a small step in a bigger project that that General Buhari will bring forth when the time comes.
It will give the whole campaign organization a different face. This is quite different from what we used to, from the usual rally. This is actually impacting, positively on the lives of individuals, and helping to achieve the sixth goal of the MDG, which is fighting or combating HIV and AIDS, malaria and other diseases.
The postponement of the general election by Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, by 6 weeks have afforded the political party across the country to extend their campaign to the grassroots. From Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting. The Nigerian main opposition party, All Progressive Congress, has alleged that the federal government is currently holding a 3-day meeting with the commanders of the military information on plan to rig the scheduled general election slated for March 28 and April 11, 2015. The national chairman of the party, John Oyegun, made this allegation at the news conference in Abuja, saying the meeting are currently ongoing in Kaduna State. He accused the ruling party of plan to use the military to intimidate electorate in the strongholds of the opposition party.
Considering all the factors building up to this postponement, it is difficult not to come to the very obvious conclusion that the military high command is in an unholy and dangerous alliance with the ruling party, the PDP, to subvert the democratic will of the people of this great nation. We have no doubt that the letter sent to INEC warning it not to proceed with the elections emanated from the Joint Chiefs' hands of Eswa and President Jonathan's voice of Jacob. Isn't it curious that only the PDP and its supporters are today celebrating the postponement?
APC National Chairman also raised alarm on what he termed threat to democracy in Nigeria by the ruling party.
It is clear that the greatest threat to our democracy today is the way the ruling party has compromised the leadership of the Nigerian security services to serve the personal agenda of President Jonathan.
In another development, coalition of progressive political party, which is made up of 12 registered political parties, have condemned the postponement of the election in strong terms. Speaking to the newsmen in Abuja on behalf of other members of the coalition, the national chairman of People Democratic Movement, Bashir Ibrahim, said postponement was short of expectation.
The coalition of progressive political parties is deeply disappointed by the decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to postpone Nigeria's general election, scheduled to commence on February 14, 2015, 13 months ago. The postponement came in spite of the reaction of Nigerians rejecting the idea when it was first mooted in the UK by Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired National Security Advisor to President Jonathan, about 3 weeks ago. It will be recalled the first reason given for the postponement of the election by Colonel Dasuki was the low number of distribution and collection of permanent voters' cards and the fear of disenfranchisement of eligible voters. When it became clear from the numbers released by the Independent National Electoral Commission that this reason would not fly, the NSA came up with another reason barely a day before the National Council of State was to meet to consider the earlier reason given in support of the postponement. This time around, the NSA disingenuously offered a different reason totally unrelated to the first, which is, and I quote, new developments related to the insurgency raising in the Northeast and the inability of the armed forces to provide security for the election arising therefrom.
From Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting.
Minister of Police Affairs, Abdul-Jalil Adesiyan, has appealed to Nigerian youths not to allow themselves to be used negatively as the 2015 general election approaches. Speaking at the launch of the guidelines on gender-based violence among youths in Nigeria, organized by Women Arise for Change initiative, the minister emphasized the importance of education as a tool that will help discourage violence among youths.
Youth, you are the owner of today. You are the owner of tomorrow. You can allow what you want to allow, what you want to happen. If you pull yourself together, bring up concerted effort, and say no to to any politician of any political divide, be it PDP, be it APC, or any political party for that matter, to preach violence because they want power to oppress you. You must hold your destiny by your hand. Most of you here in this hall are educated, better off than so many other youth who even were not even allowed to go to school or exposed to go to school.
Earlier, the executive governor of Cross River State, Senator Leo Imoke, said there is need to enforce and sanction those found guilty of gender violence.
If people can get away with crime, if people can get away with violence against young people, then I think that society has a lot to answer for. So what is critical is not just this dissemination of these all-important guidelines. And I must say that in scanning through the document, a very comprehensive exercise has been conducted in developing the guidelines.
So there comes a time in the life of any nation where people should rise in unison to say enough is enough. And that is the reason why we are all here today, for the dissemination of that document, the guidelines of the gender-based violence among youths, and then secondly, for us to kickstart the signature of Stop the Abuse of Youth or End Youth Violence Today.
Other speakers that spoke at the event emphasized the need for government at all levels to punish the offenders, as the case of violence is becoming more alarming in Nigeria.
I think that is a big challenge to this country. If this country is to regard itself belonging to the Community of Nations where the lives are valued, addressing gender-based violence and violence of any type is one of the most important challenges that needs to be addressed in the years to come.
One of the cases sent up to us to decide was the case of a 16-year-old who had been raped by her father for 4 years. By the time the case came up to us, she was 16. So the rape started when she was 12. And the decision, it asked us to sign off on a memorandum of understanding reached between this child, her mother, and the father, by which, in return for offering the father respect and due obedience in his house, she would return to the house and the father would start paying her school fees. And I thought, damn, you really want me to sign off on this? Is something wrong with you? And if you send this up to me the next time, I will institute disciplinary proceedings against you because I don't think you understand the mission of the National Human Rights Commission.
Yesterday, I saw in the paper 10,000 for somebody who has raped a woman, and I felt humiliated, I felt violated. That 10,000, then I can continue raping a woman every day and be paying the 10,000. It's not proper, it's not right. According to the organizers, the guideline will help in contributing to the reduction of gender-based violence among youths in Nigeria. LM Chukwameka report for Ben TV.